Welcome to the deep dive. You know how this works? You send us the sources, could be articles, research, sometimes even, like today, parts of a novel.
And we jump in head first, really, to pull out the key insights, the interesting bits, just for you.
Think of us as your guides, helping you get the takeaway without having to wade through everything yourself.
Exactly.
And for this deep dive, we've got something a bit different excerpts from a romance novel, One Summer in Santa Fe, by Molly Evans.
Right, and the setting itself, Santa Fe, New Mexico, is painted as this picturesque high desert city, artist, great food, culture.
The author even calls it a place where it's easy to fall in love. So, setting the scene.
And our main players. First, there's Dr. Taylor Jenkins, ER physician.
Described as someone who kind of lives life his own way, avoids commitments. There's some backstory there with his father apparently influencing this guilt avoidance thing.
Definitely. He's the adventurous type, jumping out of airplanes, climbing mountains, that sort of thing.
Then there's Piper. She's a travel nurse on assignment in Santa Fe. She enjoys exploring, sure, but the text says she's feeling ready. Maybe ready to settle down.
A contrast already. We also meet Alex, who is Taylor's young nephew.
And Caroline Taylor's sister, Alex's mom.
Okay, so the core setup, what really kicks things off, is Caroline asking Taylor to take care of Alex for 6 weeks.
Which, for a guy who avoids commitment like Taylor apparently does, is a huge ask.
Huge. The text makes it crystal clear he is not happy about it. His reaction, you want me to what? He thinks it's impossible and entirely beyond his abilities. Just no.
Yeah, he immediately starts counting down the time. Literally 5 more weeks and 6 days, just the seconds.
He's already planning his escape back to his normal life. He even vows to avoid the poison of guilt and commitment. It's intense.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? This guy who defines himself by freedom suddenly stuck with, well, responsibility. For a kid.
Exactly. So our mission here is to explore how these characters, especially Taylor and Piper, navigate all this. Unexpected responsibility, their own past issues bubbling up.
And this potential connection forming between them, all in this Santa Fe setting. What can we learn about how people handle pressure, maybe challenge their own self-image, and adapt when life just throws things at them?
Yeah, let's dive into that, starting with those unexpected beginnings and Taylor's initial very strong resistance.
Caroline's plea really is framed as this major disruption. She's appealing to him, I've never asked you for anything, I need this, pulling the family card.
But his whole life is structured to avoid that.
Yeah.
His mantra is supposedly no commitments, no guilt. It was that easy.
Except it's clearly not easy for him now. The text mentions panic clawed up his throat. He's genuinely freaking out, tries to get someone else to take Alex.
Right, he's just so focused on it ending, getting his life back again, counting the seconds. It shows how much this threatens his whole identity,
Absolutely. He sees commitment itself as a poison. That really speaks volumes about his issues, probably tied to that father stuff mentioned early on.
And right in the middle of all this personal chaos, he meets Piper.
In the ER, of course.
Yeah.
During a pretty intense patient rescue situation.
And the author uses this high-stress moment really effectively. It shows they're both competent, they work well together, instinctively.
But it also triggers something deep for Piper.
Yeah.
The chaos reminds her of the car crash that killed her parents when she was younger.
Wow. So yeah, what's a normal workday for them connects right back to her personal trauma. The text says, some wounds never healed completely.
Definitely gives context for why she might value stability later, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of caution, almost immediately after meeting Taylor, Piper gets a warning.
Yes. From Emily, the charge nurse, with an unofficial diagnosis.
Commitment deficit disorder. CDD, not ADD. Emily pulls Piper aside, basically gives her the lowdown. Taylor's got a reputation, a player.
Describes him as being at a dating buffet. Ouch.
Yeah. And we already know Piper's thinking about settling down, so boom, instant conflict.
Right. There's this connection, this competence she sees, but this massive red flag waving, saying he's the exact opposite of what she might be looking for.
The author sets up that tension for Piper right away. Her history, her desires versus his reputation.
Which leads us perfectly to Alex, the nephew. He turns out to be this unexpected catalyst for change.
He arrives looking pretty down. The text says couldn't be more miserable looking.
But Piper, she just connects with him instantly.
Yeah.
Uses candy or gum, I think.
Yeah, gum. And Alex perks right up. Oh, yeah, awesome. And then he whispers to Taylor, wow, she's hot. Kid's right.
Yeah, gotta love the honesty. But the really key moment comes later. Taylor overhears Piper talking to Alex about day camp.
And Alex says something like, he doesn't think his uncle will listen. Because he's kind of like my dad that way. He doesn't listen either.
Oof, that hits Taylor hard. Because Caroline had just warned him not to be like their father.
Exactly. It's like holding up a mirror. He immediately thinks, what had he done so far with Alex? Total disappointment.
Alex's innocent words just cut right through Taylor's defenses, confronting him with that fear of repeating the past. It starts chipping away at him.
And it's not just words. There's that scene with the grape soda stain.
Oh, right. Alex spills it, and Taylor's first thought is just this vague hope it'll come out. Like he has no clue about basic household stuff.
Shows how detached he is from, everyday life, managing a home.
And Piper just steps in. Peroxide, seltzer water,
Right.
practical, grounded, compared to his different reality.
Yeah, and then Alex blurts out about the stain again later when he's excited about rock climbing camp. It just underlines Taylor's realization.
He thinks Caroline was right. He didn't know his nephew. A simple mess highlights this huge emotional gap.
Which prompts him to actually do something constructive, sign Alex up for that rock climbing camp.
And this isn't random, it's personal for Taylor. He remembers climbing as his own escape from his domineering father. It saved his sanity.
And he thinks about his uncle, who is different. A sounding board. Someone who helped him figure things out.
So he's consciously trying to give Alex that same kind of gift. Maybe trying to be the positive male figure his own father wasn't. It's a first step.
A really significant one, trying to break the pattern, even if he doesn't fully realize it yet.
So Alex is now in the picture, Taylor's grappling with it all, and that connection with Piper starts to deepen. They meet again spontaneously at a park.
Taylor's jogging, Piper's walking, kind of struggling with the Santa Fe altitude, feeling winded.
And they have this chat, seems light, about therapeutic hugs and the science behind touch.
But Piper's thinking deeper, feeling that hollow ache of loneliness, wanting a relationship.
But immediately doubts Taylor is the guy for that because of Emily's warning, right? She thinks she wasn't what someone like him craved, already boxing him in.
Yeah, her head versus her heart, or maybe just her wants versus her fears and what she's been told. But that whole casual vibe gets shattered instantly.
The coyote attack. Right there in the park. It's sudden, violent. A dog is killed. The owner's bitten.
And boom, they both switch right back into professional mode.
Total shift. Taylor's assessing the woman, calling 911. Piper's directing the ambulance, dealing with the poor dog, calling wildlife. Seamless teamwork.
The author uses this crisis to show their connection isn't just talk. They're competent together under extreme pressure. That builds a different kind of trust, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it leads to Piper driving Taylor home.
And we see Taylor's worry about Alex again. He was panicking about being gone too long, feels relief at Piper's help. She'd already been incredibly helpful, he thinks.
So this crisis, it solidifies something between them. Shows they can rely on each other outside the ER too.
Which definitely paves the way for what comes next. Intimacy, vulnerability, and those past shadows refusing to go away. They go rock climbing with Alex.
A place Taylor feels comfortable. He's very focused on safety. No safety, no climbing. Trying to be responsible.
But things go wrong anyway. Alex gets tired, the wind picks up suddenly, the rope slips, Alex slides. Piper gets hit on the head trying to help.
And Taylor's reaction is immediate. Intense self-blame. Damn. This was all his fault. He's fighting off that internal voice of his father berating him.
The crisis with Alex just taps right into his deepest fears. Failure. Judgment.
But Piper reads the situation differently. She sees the fear under the anger. The text says she knows beneath that anger was an all-consuming fear.
So she offers him a hug, right then, referencing their earlier chat.
His first thought is, a hug now. Disbelief. But he does it. Automatically wraps his arms around her.
And something breaks loose inside him, something needy. He pulls her closer. It's this incredibly vulnerable moment for him.
And the desire, the physical intimacy comes directly out of that raw, shared emotional space.
Yeah, it's a powerful mix. Crisis, fear, vulnerability, leading straight into intimacy. But then Taylor pulls back immediately after.
Tells Piper he can't do it. Can't keep looking after Alex. Says he doesn't have the capacity, that being alone is just the way I live my life. Flat out says, I don't have it in me to care for a child.
He's verbalizing that core belief tied to his father that he's fundamentally incapable. Broken, maybe?
Piper pushes back, though. Reminds him, Alex and Caroline need you. She sees something more in him. But shortly after that, he notices Piper's back is scraped from the fall.
Which leads to the offer to check her out at his place, which leads to the jacuzzi invitation. Things escalate quickly.
And Piper's internal struggle is intense here. The thought made her mouth go dry. She knows a decision was on the line. Could be amazing, could be painful, heaven or the depths of pain.
Taylor's pretty direct, too. I don't usually wear one. Whoa.
And Piper's mind flashes straight back to Derek. The cheating ex, the heartbreak, fear of it happening again, especially with Taylor's reputation.
She wonders if she's being selfish, indulging herself after taking care of her sister for so long. Her desire for stability clashes hard with his danger and excitement lifestyle as she sees it.
But the attraction wins out, at least for the moment. They get involved.
But the doubts linger, especially for Piper. She wonders if this is just another Derek situation waiting to happen, convinced Taylor wasn't the type to settle down.
So both of them are carrying heavy baggage from their pasts, creating these huge internal roadblocks even as they're drawn together.
They've faced crisis, shared vulnerability, but yeah, those pasts are definitely still shaping their present. So they try something more normal, a date.
Taylor takes Piper to the Santa Fe Opera House. Mamma mia.
Which is presented as a thoughtful choice, something she'd been wanting to see for ages. He's actually making an effort, stepping outside his usual extreme sports comfort zone.
And he even thinks, he doesn't usually do this, but it feels right with her. He tries to rationalize it, though. Tells himself they're adults, they can handle it ending when her contract is up.
Still clinging to that temporary idea, isn't he? But allowing it, at least.
But then life throws another curveball. Not about them directly, but about Piper's family. Her sister Elizabeth calls during the drive home.
And it's big news. Elizabeth is dropping out of school for some guy. Piper has a huge reaction.
Yeah, really emotional. Feels her sister is ruining everything I work for. Upset, maybe projecting her own fears about trust onto her sister's choice.
Thinks Elizabeth is making a massive mistake, trusting the wrong person. Echoes Piper's own anxieties, right?
Totally. But here's where Taylor does something different, something significant, considering his own father issues.
He listens. The text actually points it out. Something new for him, but he was game to try.
And he offers perspective, not judgment. Suggests maybe Elizabeth is following Piper's own adventurous path in a way. Maybe has her own hidden dreams, calls Piper the superstar sister.
And he connects it back to himself.
Yeah.
Shares more about his difficult father, his helpful uncle, uses his vulnerability to help her see another angle.
It's a real shift. Piper starts seeing him not just as a romantic interest, but as a friend. Someone she can actually talk to about deep stuff.
Yeah, the author uses this family drama to show Taylor growing, showing empathy he hadn't before. So Piper goes to Phoenix to see Elizabeth.
It's tough. The text says they'd fought, they'd yelled, they'd cried, they'd made up. Intense sister stuff.
But Piper eventually accepts Elizabeth's decision. Let's go. Still, there's that little detail. Piper feels a thorn of jealousy seeing her sister happy with Eduardo.
Highlights her own loneliness, right? Her own desire for that secure connection she doubts she can have, especially with Taylor.
Sets the stage perfectly for the next big confrontation.
Which comes quickly. Piper gets back to Santa Fe, straight into another ER crisis. Tension, pneumothorax, high stakes.
And again, she notes Taylor's calm competence, how he calmed Piper, exuded confidence and absolute certainty. Professionally, he's still her rock.
After that intensity, the desire flares up again at his place. They get close, but then the phone rings.
Caroline, calling to say she's coming home early. A week early.
The temporary gig is ending sooner than expected, and Piper hears Taylor say something about getting his life back again.
And she takes it as confirmation. This is it. He's ending things. All her fears rush back, getting her heart trampled all over again, like with Derek.
She confronts him, references his reputation, the whirlwind of affairs, tells him flat out she thinks she's not enough for him.
Says their lifestyles don't match, his danger, adrenaline, excitement versus her need for safe.
She basically preempts the breakup, tells him it's better she leaves now because she wants more than what I think you're willing to give, protecting herself.
Taylor's reaction is complex. Anger first, then silence. Then he insists she say goodbye to Alex, tells her she's not coming back. It's harsh, hurtful.
Maybe his own defense mechanism kicking in, pushing away first.
Could be. The farewell with Alex is really sad. He says he's going to miss her. Piper drives off, completely heartbroken, crying, realizing her heart hadn't listened to her head.
In Taylor. He's left feeling off.
Yeah.
Restless, moody. His usual escape, skydiving, climbing, they don't work anymore. They feel full, empty somehow.
And then he has this moment with Alex. He realizes he will miss his nephew. He admits to himself that Piper and Alex changed him, opened his eyes to home and hearth.
He even wonders maybe he was broken inside, questioning his whole way of life, his inability to connect. It's a massive internal shift.
He's not just missing Piper, he's missing the feeling, the belonging, the home they created, however briefly.
And just as they're both reeling from this separation, the ultimate crisis hits.
Caroline, a severe car accident. Piper calls Taylor from the hospital.
He and Alex rush there. But seeing Caroline so badly injured, unconscious, Taylor feels totally helpless. It's his sister in his domain, the ER, but he can't fix it.
He's frustrated, wants to be the doctor in charge, but Piper cuts through that. She tells him he can't treat this like a medical problem or a mountain to climb. He has to just feel it. You have to feel it.
Powerful advice. Stop trying to conquer it. Just be present in the emotion.
And in that intense, vulnerable moment, Piper makes a huge decision.
She decides to stay, past her contract.
Tells Taylor directly. For Alex, for Caroline, and for you. She extends her contract 4 weeks, but takes a week break first.
But she puts the responsibility on him. She's staying until Caroline is out of danger, but after that, I can't make any promises. Tells him, it's up to you to let me know that.
She's giving him a chance, a window to prove he can be the man she needs, offer the more she wants.
And Taylor's response, pure vulnerability. I need you, Piper, more than I ever have.
In their hug, he realizes how deep his feelings run, more for her than I had for any woman. He even wonders, was that love? He knows he can't lose her. Tells her, if you don't stay, we'll never have a chance to find out. He has 5 weeks.
The crisis basically forced him to admit his need, his commitment, his fear of losing her. Yeah. And then Caroline wakes up.
In the ICU, fragile. And one of the first people she asks about, Piper, remembers her as soft, warm, loving.
And then she asks Taylor those killer questions.
Yeah, looking right at him. Isn't she? Meaning more than just a friend. And then, is she enough for you, Taylor, or do you think you can walk away from her?
Oof. Coming from his sister, who knows his history. That cuts deep. Forces him to confront his patterns.
He admits Piper is much more, and Caroline just says, come back, bring Alex. Acceptance.
Later, Taylor finds that welcome home cake meant for Caroline. And the words suddenly mean something else.
Yeah, welcome home. It hits him differently. It's about Piper, about Alex, about the feeling of home he'd found with them, the life he almost lost.
And then Alex, with that simple kid wisdom again, asks him, you miss her, don't you? Taylor tries to brush it off, but Alex clarifies, I meant Piper.
And Taylor just admits it. Me too. Owning his feelings.
Both Caroline and Alex, in their own ways, push him to acknowledge the truth he'd been avoiding.
It all leads to that final push, right? Embracing the future. Taylor goes to Piper's apartment during her break week. She was planning to explore Santa Fe alone.
And they fall right back into the core issue. Piper repeats her fear. He's danger. She needs safety. She can't be emotionally safe with him because he has the power to hurt her. Past trauma, his reputation, it's all there.
Taylor tries to break through, takes her to his favorite lunch spot, but the tension's too thick. Too much unsaid, too much felt.
So he makes a choice. Let's take the food back to your place. Talk, uninterrupted. Create that space for real communication.
And that energy, that need to connect, it leads to a kiss, passionate, a release of everything pent up. They rush back to her apartment.
And in that moment, Taylor has this massive internal realization. Piper is the answer. She's what he needs, what he wants to make it complete. He knows. He loves her.
And he feels she loves him too. Compares it to jumping off a cliff without a glider, using his adventure language for this huge emotional leap. Terrifying, but necessary.
And then, the quiet moment. Piper looks into his eyes, sees nothing except love, nothing except trust.
Her response, just 2 words, I will.
Meaning, she'll trust him, she'll love him back. She's taken the leap too.
And the physical intimacy that follows is different. It's not just desire anymore. It's grounded in that mutual love and trust. Their emotional commitment finally aligns with their physical connection.
Wow. So this deep dive, starting from these excerpts, really shows a journey, doesn't it? Taylor begins utterly resistant to commitment, driven by his past.
Yeah, and this unexpected responsibility for Alex cracks him open. But it's the big crisis, Caroline's accident, that forces both him and Piper to confront their deepest fears. About vulnerability, about trust, about what they really want.
And Piper's journey, too. Starting cautious, wary of being hurt again, wanting safety, but ultimately taking that leap of faith, first by staying, then by trusting Taylor's change and his vulnerability.
And that theme of home, it's not just Santa Fe. It becomes this feeling Taylor discovers with Piper and Alex. It totally shifts his view on commitment, on what adventure really means.
That welcome home cake at the end becomes such a powerful symbol for the life he's choosing.
It's interesting, too, how those simple, direct questions from Caroline and Alex were what really broke through Taylor's defenses. Is she enough? You miss her, don't you? Sometimes the simplest questions are the most profound.
Yeah, when all his own rationalizing and adventuring failed to distract him.
So this deep dive really shows how sometimes the biggest adventure isn't climbing a mountain, but building connections, finding that sense of home, even if it means facing down old fears and habits, finding something or someone worth staying for.
Which leaves us with something for you, the listener, to think about. We see these characters wrestling with commitment, safety, all tied up in their pasts. What does it really take to move past that fear, to truly trust someone else or even yourself enough to build something real? Especially when it feels like that terrifying leap Taylor described. How do you find that balance in your own life between needing independence and wanting connection?
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.